where it relates to mental health is that most people go, no, I'm too strong to be ill. He's a character. It's Professor Plum. It's not Sam. I'm just sitting looking through leaflets, so I was bored, waiting for my dad. And there was this one on mental health and anxiety. And I read it and went, that's me, right there. That is exactly the symptoms that I'm having.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the NYH podcast. As you can see, we're in yet again another location, but one day we'll get somewhere that's permanent. You might start to see this one a bit more, but it's been a little bit of a while. I've been taking a break because I've not been in the right space to do it, and I've also been absolutely flat out with work. But today I'm joined by my friend Sam. I've been speaking to Sam it's over a year now. We've been chatting now. Again, we met through social media, and he's like, you know what, let's jump on and let's do an episode. So that's exactly what it is. But I guess to start us off, Sam, I mean, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a plumber. One of them social media plumbers. No, I'm not one of them. No, I am. I'm just as bad. Yeah, I'm Professor Plum, so I do... Wow. What I do for work is all sort of like maintenance bits and bobs, stuff that anything from emergencies, day-to-day repairs, that sort of thing. I do bigger installs. It's sort of what comes in. And then I get my phone out and record myself, and then I put it on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube if I'm really keen. Depending on how I'm feeling.
Yeah, it's the thing with YouTube. There's a lot of effort you got to put in, and you got to turn up every single week at the same time with it as well. Yeah,
I was uploading every day, thinking it would be the same as Instagram and TikTok, and then I realised uploading every day is ridiculous because it takes so long to upload.
Yeah,
because you don't realise that, you sit there and you make like a 3-minute video or a 1 minute 30 video for Instagram. Make an hour-long video for YouTube. You're going to be sat there all day waiting for it to upload. So in the end, I just thought, I might do something different rather than doing the same thing across 3 platforms. Why don't I do something where it's like unboxing videos or reviews? And so I started going down that path. But then there's only so far you can go with that without looking for something new every week and spending loads of money on things that you don't really need. And as well, I don't really like dealing with companies. So you kind of got to then go, I'll review your product on YouTube, and I'm not the type of person to sort of reach out and do that side of things. So it's one of them. I mean, I've always really wanted to stick to making content, so being a content creator rather than an influencer.
Yeah.
Because I think although there's a lot of grey area in that, it's not like black and white like content creators and influencers, but I didn't want to be leaning too much into sort of scripting it or saying things and using things that I don't really... use.
Yeah.
It's okay if it's something you already use.
No, I think like I was saying to you before, I sit and watch your videos, and I find myself, I guess, going down a wormhole with it all, because you'll go to whatever job it is, whether it is just taking a rad off the wall, or whether I've seen quite a few your leak videos and things like that, and as well, I think you do stuff as well, like you had one when a customer was complaining about how much it costs for the hour to do and things like that, and you'll run through that, because there'll be people that'll be maybe coming into the trade and they want to start working for themselves as a plumber, and then they realise that this is one of the pitfalls that you have to go through to deal with it, or these are the problems you come across, whether it be the client or whether it be a leaking valve or like I think it was a push fit and somebody hadn't put an olive in properly.
So I think with what I do, in my head, I always presume like, this is the type of person that's going to watch my stuff. It's going to be people coming into the trade, apprentices, and so I probably over-explain things and almost dumb it down and not expect people to know what I'm doing. So I might just be changing a tap cartridge, but I'll explain every part of the process, like a tutorial video, rather than sort of aiming it at plumbers, you're sort of, it's not just plumbers, it's like homeowners want to know what you're doing, and you're explaining what you're doing rather than just like expecting them to know, right, this is what we're doing, this is what it's called. It's sort of like just trying to be a little bit more, what's the word?
Educational?
A little bit, educational, a bit more descriptive.
Yeah.
So, trying to do that. And then I don't tend to do as many of those style of videos, like you said, where I'm talking about a customer, you know, moaning about the price or whatever. I do that sometimes, but it's kind of like the weeks where, say I've got like 5 taps to fit, and I've already recorded 2, and then on the third day I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I've got 3 more taps to replace today.
Yeah.
No one wants to see me do taps all week.
Yeah.
So I think, right, let's do something different. And
Right.
It might be one of them videos where I talk about something or reply to someone. So I probably don't do that as much as I used to. But it's one of them. The content's pretty like myself, up and down. It's pretty erratic at times, so I don't know what I'm walking into day to day anyway, because of the nature of my job. It's not, I don't have stuff planned weeks in advance. I don't do bathrooms, I don't do bigger jobs, so it's very responsive and reactive to what I'm doing on that particular day. Some of the best videos that I enjoy watching back or editing are the ones where it was called on that day, like leaks coming through the ceilings, big disasters going on, that sort of thing. It's like, I think they're more interesting because it's off the cuff, you know, it's more off the cuff and you don't know what you're walking into. Sometimes it's better rather than looking at my diary and going, right, that's the job I'm going to film, and I'm going to film that job because they're 2 different jobs and they're interesting. Is sometimes just before you walk in, if you don't really know what you're walking into, is to get the phone and go, right, and we'll go call that to this job, and then going into it completely blind. So you're just as blind going into it as a person watching, I suppose.
Yeah, and as it unravels, you can people can see you figuring it out and going, right, that worked, no, it didn't. Now I know what I need to do with this and how I need to deal with that if it ever comes up again. And everybody's learning at once. But have you always done sort of maintenance side of things, or have you ever done like the big installs for companies and things?
Well, I was a bathroom fitter for 3 years of my career, doing like social housing bathrooms. So it's same thing every day. Nothing was ever too elaborate. You know, I weren't doing like some sort of like mad tiling. It was always the same box of tiles every single bathroom, and I got really quick at doing them because they were all, some of them, when you're working in one street, all the bathrooms are the same layout, they're going in exactly the same, and the bathrooms that are getting ripped out are the same bathroom suites. Yeah. So, I did that, but it weren't nothing too interesting.
I did a bit of that, but on the bricklaying side of things, I think the Queen was coming to visit Manchester, so the Queen thinks like Longsight and Levenshulme and all these places right by the city centre are really nice because they've all got new garden walls and they've all had block paving done on the thing and new windows fitted and then the house is repointed because she was going down this particular route. But then if she looked round the corner, it was like a war zone. But I get what you mean. They are, because we were doing rows and rows of houses and they were all exactly the same.
Do you know what? It's the best thing really is that I did do my apprenticeship in social housing, and I worked in it for many years for a subcontractor that had a contract doing kitchens and bathrooms, and then I went away and was doing building sites and all different things, and then I came back and worked for a smaller housing association for another 7 years. So I did a lot of it. The second place I was at was based in the Cotswolds. So there's a place called Cotsway Housing. Cotswolds is lovely. Yeah. Lovely. There's no trouble out there. You know what I mean? But when I did my apprenticeship, some of the places that I worked at was eye-opening. Really, genuinely, sometimes you were scared. You got scared going into jobs, and we used to get the paperwork, and if it said 2 at a time, you're like, okay, why is it 2 at a time? Because a lot of the time they didn't put it on the ticket why it was 2 at a time. It could be anything, and sometimes there were people that were just convicted for something violent, so that's why they're on there. It could be something as simple as they've had an argument on the phone with someone in the
in the call centre.
In the call centre, and they've gone, oh, he was a bit rude. He swore. But yes, I mean, I remember my first ever day. Right, so I left school. I had the weekend off, and then on the Monday I started my first job. Right, and the first job I ever went into was I saw a young teenager shooting heroin. Yeah, and I sort of like looked at the guy I was working with. He was an old boy called Terry, and he just went, "Come on, let's go." And we called up, and social services turned up. It was horrendous. It was really bad, and that was the first ever job that I ever walked into. Yeah. And that was like a taste of some of the things in, like, it's like any area. You're going to get certain streets that are like notorious. Yeah. And when you was on certain streets, you'd go, oh, no, not there. Yeah. What am I going to go into there, you know? Yeah. But yeah, it was a mixed bag. And there were some things that have really stayed with me that I've seen. Some really good laughs, some really funny characters. Yeah. But yeah, it was a very interesting ride. But what I think is, I took all of them experiences, especially anything where it's confrontational. I'm very good at diffusing things, and being able to go to difficult customers. Well, these weren't customers; these were tenants, right? And there was a few of those jobs where they were 2 at a time, and they used to call up and they'd say, unless Sam's coming out, no one's coming here. And I was so good at calming people down and learning to get on with work in those sorts of people's houses, customers, well, tenants. So when I go out and I'm doing my nice little job out where I am in Warwickshire, working for lovely people that you wouldn't expect any sort of trouble from. You're going to be brilliant at dealing with people. You become more personable. You know, it definitely developed my people skills being there. Yeah, and I took that away more than the plumbing. The plumbing, because the plumbing weren't great, because it was sort of like I was passed around to loads of different people, and as soon as someone was like, you're going, oh my god, this person's really good, they'd go and find another job, or they'd leave, or they'd be working in a different because there was 3 different areas, get swapped over to a different team, and then you're working with someone and you're just going, oh my god, how's this person ever qualified? Yeah. You know, I've seen some things on the plumbing side that sort of shocked me as well. People, you know, when it comes to like gas and stuff like that, and riddles and all sorts of things.
Yeah, because I think people, not just in plumbing, but I think across the industry, are at a state, or this, I've certainly worked with characters like they don't care. They don't care what they churn out. I'm still going to get paid for it. Or when they don't get paid for it, they kick off, or they go, all right, I'll leave. Yeah. I'll go and get a job somewhere else because there's plenty. I
think with the thing is with plumbing, I feel like a cowboy can get away with it for a lot longer, because sometimes you go, that's a really bad install, but it's not leaking. Yeah. So the customer's like, look, as long as it's not leaking and it works, that's fine. It doesn't matter that he hasn't clipped it. It's all plastic. It looks horrendous. You know, it just it functions exactly the same as the person who is absolutely phenomenal, all perfectly bent copper. He's got the brasso out. He's shined up the pipes. It looks amazing. But it functions the same. Yeah. So I think you can get away with it a lot longer than if you're a bricklayer and you're a proper cowboy. They see it every day. Yeah. They look at it, and it's the same with anything. It's like if you're a bad plasterer. Yeah. Everyone's going to be moaning about you further down the line. Yeah. You know, the kitchen fitter's going to be moaning that the walls are out. The painter's going to be moaning that he's having to do a load of filling. Yeah. So with the plumbing, you only really get caught out if it's leaking,
yeah,
you know, or it just doesn't work.
Yeah, stops, or it bursts, and you've got to go back and fix it. But I think we've all worked in places and worked on sites or jobs where you think, oh my God, how are they getting away with this? But people are. But when we first started chatting, the last time we were sat chatting, because I'd done a talk near where you are. You were saying that you were getting a bit burnt out with social media and everything like that. It was getting a bit on top of you, and you were thinking of taking a break from it, but you kept going with it, hadn't you?
I kept going with it. Yeah, it was a real strange time because I was so ready to just quit, and I was completely when your mind's just off it. You know, I weren't thinking about it. I weren't interested. So actually coming back and started uploading again, it's taken me forever to get back into loving what I'm doing again, and that comes across, right? So the videos might look the same, but then there's just that little thing that's missing, which is that you actually want to be putting this stuff out. You care about what you're putting out, and the videos might look the same, but then you notice the difference. The views go down. People aren't as in. They know something's not right. It does affect it, but I was at that stage where I just thought, do you know what? Do I want to be? I probably got caught up too much in the politics of the community of social media, because I think a lot of people do that, where they're like going, I'm not really respected amongst my peers on social media, or I'm not getting the opportunities that other people are getting, and I'm quite happy and comfortable to say it, because I think it's taken a long time to self-reflect, which is a really difficult thing to do. Like, genuine self-reflection's hard. But I think I wasn't managing my own emotions well, and I was probably, dipping into envy and greed and anxiety and negative emotions, where what I do on there is an extracurricular activity. I make no money from it, no real money from it. So I've got to be doing it because I enjoy it, not why am I doing it? Because I'm getting a dopamine rush from my phone pinging a few times. So I've learned to go, right, I'm doing it for myself and not doing it for the social media platform. Essentially just putting content out there and boosting the platform. I should be doing it for myself. And that was something that I sort of had to come to terms with and sort of learn, this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah, because sometimes self-reflection can be really hard to actually take an honest view and look at yourself and think, you know what, maybe I was wrong in that, and maybe I said this wrong, or maybe my thought pattern was wrong in that. And I know I sometimes struggle with it, and things that have gone on in my past where I've had to really sit and think about it and go, you know what, maybe I was in the wrong, or maybe I was. I
think everyone has a filter, right? Everyone filters their own image. So when you look in the mirror and you're seeing yourself through your eyes, not someone else's eyes. Everyone sees you different. Your actions will be perceived completely different to other people, and you'll perceive them the way that you want to perceive them. No one wants to think that they're the bad guy or the bad person. No one in history has ever gone, I'm a horrible bastard. They've all thought that they're genuinely right. The worst people throughout our history thought that they was doing something morally good, and they justified horrendous actions. And that's human nature, because we can't live with ourselves knowing that we've done wrong and that we've done bad. So self-reflection's stupidly difficult. I read a book and they talk about self-reflection, and they were talking about and this is an incredibly difficult thing to do, because it takes weeks to even contemplate it, seriously contemplate it. Imagine that you was a German, you're about 21 years old in 1945. What would you be doing? Most people, because we look at ourselves through that filter, would say, well, I'll be saving everyone. I'll be hiding people in my basement, and I'll be this hero that goes against the system. No. No, you wouldn't. What are they chances you can be like 0.00001%? So self-reflection, something that it's, if you can be honest with yourself in that regards, then okay, then you can be honest about yourself now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult to go. Yeah, I've been jealous. I've been this. I've been that in these situations, and I know that I was wrong here and there. Because you've got to step out yourself and look at yourself, not see it through your own eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's kind of like if you go through a situation, everyone's gone, yeah, that was wrong, that was out of order. You're going to justify it to yourself in pretty much every way. But then if someone was to tell you all these things, but not say you did it, say someone else did it, you're going to judge that person. You need to be able to sort of judge yourself.
Yeah.
So that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the truth can be difficult to deal with. And if you can do that, though, I think that allows you to, when you have that self-reflection, it allows you to go and change your opinion and be less judgmental and move forward in different and positive ways. It might not be the way that you thought you were going to move forward in, but you're doing it in the way that works best for you. And as well, I think on self-reflection that you may look back at yourself and go, yeah, I did that wrong, or no, you know what, no, I didn't. I stand by my actions, and I've done that, and I'm going to continue.
I think where it relates to mental health is that most people go, no, I'm too strong to be ill.
Yeah.
I'm too strong to be ill, or no, that's, I'm fine. To admit to yourself that something's not quite right is really difficult, and to say, yeah, I have been through a few experiences that have actually, they might have happened a long time ago, really in my past, but they're affecting me right now because I didn't deal with it back then.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of men, especially, we like bottle it up, and it becomes like so compressed deep down. And then when it eventually comes out, it can be explosive or have grown. So it all sort of comes into what we're talking about really today. It's mental health.
I've had people stand in front of me whenever I've delivered a talk out on site or I've popped in and visited them, and I've had several people say to me, I had suicidal thoughts last week and I was thinking of doing this. I said, okay, no problem. Are you having those suicidal thoughts today? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, do you want me to get you some support? And they're like, oh, no, I'm all right. I'm like, dude, you told me a week ago you were wanting to kill yourself. And now you stood in front of me saying, no, you're all right, you don't need any help. And I think the biggest thing is for people to realise that you can have intrusive thoughts and you may want to take your own life, but it doesn't mean you're going to. And you can reach out and get that help and support, and it doesn't make you any weaker for doing that. It's only like if you went to fix a boiler, service a boiler, and you'd service that particular make over and over and over and over again, and then you get to this one and you look at it and you go, why isn't this working? Why isn't it firing properly? What's going wrong with it? And you'd be doing a tick box exercise and, right, I've worked through all these and it's still not working. You're going to reach out to somebody and say, have you worked on this particular boiler before? Yeah, I have. Have you ever come across this problem? Yeah, I have. It was this. And they can point something out to you. And I think therapy is a lot like that. You go in and speaking to somebody, it doesn't mean you can't do life. It means that you've come up against something in your life and you need a little bit of help and support just to reflect on and to realise and have a different point of view. And just like when you're trying to fix something, it'll click in your head, you go, oh, God, why didn't I do that? Oh, that's what it was. Or that's what was making me feel like that. And then you can work around that.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think there is more support. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like there's more support out there, but that attitude necessarily hasn't changed.
No.
And I think that's millions of years of evolution.
Yeah.
It's not like we can all agree, that we're all going to be able to reach out and talk to people and be open, because sometimes we're not. Sometimes we're not built to be able to do that.
I think
straight away.
You're absolutely right. It does take time, and there is loads and loads of support that's out there, and it's changing and growing. And even across social media, you can see there's people out there, and even within the trades now, there's loads of people doing stuff on all platforms. And I think people are still struggling with it all because they'll talk about this, or they might say that they've had an experience with mental health or ill health in the past. But there's still a stigma surrounding it, which is stopping people reaching out for that help and support. And I can be just as guilty as everybody else. And it's basically it is. I don't lay bricks anymore. I work within the mental health field within construction. And even I've struggled to, like, I'll push myself to absolute breaking point, or at least definitely push myself to burnout. I don't push myself to like I used to, but I've just done March. I've been on tour really since March, and I've had weeks off in between, but I've not really taken enough time. But now I've got these 2 weeks off, and then I've got one more week of tour, and then I've got the whole of August off. I think if I didn't have this time already booked in, I'd be saying, you know what, I need to take time out. Yeah. I need to take some time out for me because I've got.
But do you know what to do with your spare time?
Now, at first, I used to feel really, really guilty for taking time off, but whereas now I'll allow myself to rest. Yeah. A big one for me was I never used to allow myself to stop, and it wasn't even because I thought I was going to go down a wormhole of thought, because I used to be really, and I still can be guilty of this, being a really big overthinker. Yeah. But I used to feel guilty that I'm wasting a day. Yeah. I'm not doing something productive. Whereas I came to the realisation that, no, you need to stop. And you need to take...
I love doing nothing.
Yeah.
And I find it funny, like, when... it's like just for men. I don't know whether it's for women as well, but a lot of times women go, what are you doing? Nothing. You must be doing something. No, I'm literally doing nothing. What do you mean nothing? I'm just laid on the sofa, just scrolling on my phone, doing nothing. Like, nothing. I don't want to do anything. Yeah. I don't need to do anything. I just want to be left alone. And I could happily turn my phone off and just lay there, doing nothing. Now, it's like, people say about your social battery, right? I love going to places, being the centre of attention, having a drink, having a laugh with people. And then it can get to a certain point in the night where I just go...
Yeah.
And all I can think is, I just want to be left alone in a room. Just left alone. It's like my social battery just, like, dies. It don't peter out, it just stops dead. And so all of the plumbers have just been to, like, the installer show. So it's like a big event, all the social media plumbers and stuff go there, and it's a lot because you're talking to a lot of people, and you're going out for meals, and you're networking and everything else. I got back, my social battery still hasn't recovered. I spent a week just doing nothing. Every time I got back from work, I'd just lay there. Yeah. I just think, I don't want to talk to people. And it's the same thing with my friends. Like, if you're one of my friends and you're watching this, right? If I haven't spoke to you for ages, you think, oh, he's just stopped calling me up. I'm one of them people. I'm still your best mate. I still love you. I still absolutely love you. But sometimes my social battery's dead and I just can't talk to people. I've got no interest in going out and seeing people or doing anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a massive thing. And I think with society, not just even on social media, but in work environments and social environments, it's seen to be that you've got to be there all the time, and you get the FOMO, don't you? And you've got to keep going. And that was one of the things that I had to learn to do is switch off and learn to say no, and say to friends and family, you know what, I can't make it. Yeah. I need this downtime, and that's exactly the point I'm at the minute now, where I'm talked out, and we get taught boundaries doing the work that I do for the Lighthouse. They teach us boundaries and things like that, and one of my boundaries is come Friday at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, whenever I finish being out on tour, I'm all mental health out. Yeah. And I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't. And I've set this boundary for myself that people may send me messages through social media, and I will get back to them saying, at this moment in time, I haven't got the capacity to get back to you. Yeah. If you need help and support now, here are the details and get that. But I will get back to you in the week.
I to be honest with you, I was a bit worried about coming up because I didn't know what end I'd be. Whether I'd be up high at the top where I can't wait to go up and talk and do stuff and, do something productive, or whether I was going to be at the other end where I was going to be pessimistic about everything, and everything that we said I'd always see it in a negative light. I'm sort of like somewhere in the middle today, which is rare for me to ever be in that middle ground. My personality type is up and down. The person that people see online is a character. It's Professor Plum. It's not Sam. I turn it on. And I turn it on in my voiceovers because I don't usually talk in the video. It's usually I'll get back home, I'll sit in the van, I'll do my voiceover, and then I'll go about my day and forget about it. Yeah, phone just goes in the pocket, and I'll reply to you in an hour's time when I'm laying on the sofa. So, yeah, it was kind of, I'll come up here thinking, right, I'm going to be Sam, not Professor Plum today, and not, I don't want to come and be like, right, this is the clip that you're going to use. Yeah. This is that 10-second clip that you're going to put on TikTok. I don't want a soundbite. You know what I mean? I want to just like try and talk about like some of my experiences and how I see mental health in the past, how it is now, and how it is going to be going forward. I don't know.
Do you feel your view on mental health has changed over the years?
Yeah. When I grew up, I mean, I'm 30, so when I was the only time that there was 2 times where it got brought up in my education about mental health. So when I was at primary school, that's sort of like end of the 90s. Now, my parents were noticing that I had a really bad stammer, so I've had years of speech therapy to get over my stammer, which I always thought I'd struggle with anything like this or doing anything in public because I used to stammer so bad. I didn't want to talk, just didn't want to talk. So it just made me this really quiet person that never spoke. Didn't want to get involved with the class because I didn't want to put my hand up and then go. Yeah. I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be put under that pressure. So I kind of just shut myself off. And then I was sort of, messing about and playing up, and I had this tick. So it was in my eyebrows. So a lot of people from my primary school still talk about, you used to do this weird thing with your eyebrows. I'm thinking, you know what I mean? It was that noticeable. Yeah. And it really hurt me, people pointing it out, because when someone said, what are you doing with your eyebrows? It would make it so much worse. And it was my leg twitching as well. So back then, I don't know what it would be called now, and it's not something that's too much of an issue now. But back then, it was hyperactivity disorder, and what they called a tick. He said it was a tick. So it was like, must be something like Tourette's.
I was going to say, would it be classed as Tourette's now? Probably.
Yeah, something like that. So back then, all they did was go, well, he's naughty. Yeah. Right? He's naughty. And I don't know why, but the school put me down as being dyslexic. I can never remember doing a test or anything to say I was dyslexic. It was just I refused to write anything down. I was just not engaging. So they put me in this sort of class out the back, right? And I was really happy because my best mate, he was dyslexic, and he was in the class with me. So we were like, we can just mess about doing whatever we want in this little class. And we go there for an hour a day, every day. And there was another girl in there who had learning difficulties. So it's just the 3 of us in this primary school. I remember my mate going, I can read better than you. I'm much further ahead than you. And then he started taking the mick out of me, going, you don't know how to read. And I went in we was reading. Can you remember Kipper the Dog?
Yeah.
Right, so it's like
my kids are reading that now.
And I lied, right? So I used to pretend that I struggled to read. So I'm going, Kipper the dog. And my mate starts taking the mick, and I was like getting really wound up because I'm like, I know this is an act. And so I went, all right, fine. I reached into my school bag, I pulled out The Hobbit and just started reading The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Perfectly, just reading The Hobbit. It was the first book I ever read. I absolutely loved it, read it front to back. So I started reading passages from The Hobbit, and I remember the special needs teacher, just her face just going white and just dropping, going, oh, we have horrendously fucked up. We have really messed up. And they never did nothing. She never said nothing about it. She never said anything about it. So the other two used to go in there and they used to do their reading. She'd just go, just read your book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that was the state it was back then. And when I was in secondary school, I was having really horrendous anxiety. And it got to the point where I was like, I need counselling, and they promised everything and never delivered. Never delivered. Never had any counselling. Never got any support. It just wasn't taken that seriously back then.
Did nothing come through from the speech therapist point of view that they said, look, I think Sam needs more further support?
No, it got better. It did get better. And I just learned to think about what I was saying before I said it.
Yeah.
That was all it was. There was some sort of disconnect between my brain and my mouth where I was trying to speak before I was thinking about what I was saying.
Yeah.
So it's just taking time to breathe and slow down my speech pattern. And I've learned, and it's subconscious now, completely subconscious, but I will learn to change around a word. So if there's a word that I know I'm going to get stuck on, it's going to be caught on my tongue, is I swap that word and I'll just become like a thesaurus. There's some words and people go, oh, it sounds a bit extravagant saying that, but no, it's just 'cause I'm trying to find that alternative word to.
Do you know what? So I am dyslexic, and I do it with words that I'm writing.
Yeah.
So in my previous role, I used to have to write loads of emails and stuff like that as a project manager, and ordering materials or anything to do with the project. And it wasn't even just with work, it was in general. And I'll even send in text messages. I mean, it's a lot easier now, I can speak into my phone. But on my computer, you didn't at the time have that speaking function. So I'd have to rewrite a full paragraph because I couldn't spell one word or didn't know how that word even looked.
Do you know what? I know someone who's really high up, who's so well respected, and he dictates everything.
Yeah.
He can't spell.
Yeah.
Well, really struggles to.
Yeah.
And that is like technology with stuff like that is drastically improved.
Yeah.
I think if I was having to write an essay like I did when I was in secondary school on history or whatever,
yeah,
if I could dictate it, I'd be sat there for ages talking. But typing it out, I'm terrible at typing, and I don't really enjoy writing very much. It would have been so good back then. So there's a lot of things that have really helped for stuff like that, for like kids that are struggling. But
yeah, times have moved on now, and things are more recognised, and you've learned techniques that work for you as well over the years. And did it start? So obviously it was affecting your confidence. Did you carry that into other things as well?
It definitely did, because I was a bit worried about being in, like, straight away when I went into secondary school, I was placed in bottom set for everything. And I didn't like it because it felt like almost like your social standings demoted. Because if there's 3 tiers of class, you're in upper class for maths or bottom tier, middle tier, whatever, and you're sort of like ranked like that rather than being mixed. I felt like when you're put in the bottom set, the other students around you are like, some of them are just naughty kids or whatever. They've got their own thing going on, but you felt like you were missing out on an education. Yeah. Just because they didn't know how to teach you. I felt like if I was outside and I was releasing some energy, I'd have probably done really well, because there were certain subjects where I got A's and B's, and every other subject that I didn't enjoy doing, I got U. Yeah. Just ungraded, just no effort put in, didn't want to do it, ungraded. And yet when it was tech, like woodwork, or whatever it's called, did well in that. 3D art and design, I was making sculptures, did amazing at that. And business studies.
Oh, really?
Which all the teachers were going, don't sign up for business studies. Don't sign up for it. You'll never be any good at that. Never be any good at that. Right? And I remember when it was the open day where we had to pick our GCSEs, pick what classes we wanted to do. Do you know what I did? I didn't look at... They had a big folder on each class. I went straight to the back and went to the school trips. I went to school trips and I went, right, geography, you get to go to Swanage for 2 weeks. Business studies, you get to go to Alton Towers. Fantastic, I'm signing up for that.
Yeah.
So that's how I picked all of my subjects. 3D art and design, so making little sculptures, was because you got to go to, there was a few trips, Compton Verney, which was like an art gallery. And then there was another one where you went to Swansea or somewhere to the beach and to draw the beach. And I'm thinking, brilliant, yeah, I'm going to do just the ones with the good school trips. That's all, you know. But when I did business studies, I realised, hang on, it's really piqued my interest because the teacher was fantastic. He was such a lovely bloke. But yeah, and my education, I think it was such, not even a secondary, it was like a third thing on my mind at the time. I remember from about 12, right up until I was 25, I had horrendous panic attacks.
Oh, really?
Really bad panic attacks. And I hid them so well from my classmates for fear of being ridiculed because I couldn't see. It was tunnel vision to a really small, like, narrow passage that I could see through. I desperately wanted to lay down. I didn't want to stand up because I felt faint. I felt dizzy. I honestly thought that my young adolescent brain was like, I've got something really wrong with me, and if people know how wrong my brain is, then I will be put in an asylum, or I was so terrified of ever admitting to what was going on in my head. It was that bad. And every night, as soon as it went dark, these panic attacks would come on, and I'd be in bed having panic attacks all night. And I never reached out to my mum or my dad. The only comfort I had was my dog used to come in, and it was like he knew I was having a panic attack, and he used to cuddle up to me.
Yeah, they sense it.
And I dealt with that for so many years. And when I learned what a panic attack was, the day I learned what was actually happening to me was when I was at plumbing college, my first plumbing college, and they had some booklets about anxiety. And my dad was picking me up that evening because I'd missed the bus.
Camera switched off.
Just one?
Yeah, just one of them.
All right. Okay.
Sorry, mate.
We'll carry on through this.
Yeah.
I got this leaflet, and I was like, right, I'm just sitting looking through leaflets, so I was bored, waiting for my dad. And there was this one on mental health and anxiety. And I read it and went, that's me, right there. That is exactly the symptoms that I'm having right now. And it gave me a lot of relief to put a name to what was wrong with me. And then it gave me that confidence to then get to talk to my dad and say, Dad, I think I'm having these panic attacks. And I explained it all to him. He's like, you idiot. Why didn't you just come and just tell me? Why didn't you just talk to me? And I was like, I thought I had a bloody brain hemorrhage. Yeah. I didn't know what was going on. I was too scared. It was like white coat syndrome. I didn't want to talk to a doctor about what was going on. I was too scared to do anything about the situation I was in.
And did you seek support after that? Or was it a bit of you?
Do you know what it was? I put a name on it. I put a label on it, and I'm going to learn how to deal with it. And I did get some support through the GP. They didn't give me any medication, because I just told them I don't want medication. That's the one thing I don't want. I don't want to be medicated. I don't want my personality to be changed. I was scared. I've had these preconceived ideas of what they would do to me and what people are saying. You'd be like a zombie. You'll have waking visions and all, because some medication you don't, and so I didn't take nothing. I just said, what can I do? And he was like, right, there's a few things that you can do. You can like rub your ear.
Yeah.
When you're getting this thing where you'll think everything feels like it's missing, and I'm going. I remember having a panic attack. So I went, I can't feel my nose, and then I can't feel my nose, and someone I was working with went, no one can feel their nose. No one sits there going, oh yeah, I can feel my nose all the time. You know what I mean?
But you're aware of it.
Yeah, and it was stuff like that where I was just having these panic attacks, feeling very out of my body and insecure, and I tried to listen to the doctors and do what they said, which was listen to music, and I thought, yeah, when it's coming on, I'll listen to music and I'll try and distract myself from that build up into a panic attack, because you can feel it coming on, and it comes quite quick, and if you can catch it early and you listen to music, you can maybe divert it and get rid of it. But I always felt like, doesn't matter if I don't have one now, I'll be having one later on. I'll be having one tomorrow. And that sent me into a spiral then. And then I'd just end up having a panic attack about having panic attacks. And I'd say I was going to go on a little date with a girl or whatever when I was in secondary school. I wouldn't go because I'd think, what if I have a panic attack?
Yeah.
And then I'd end up having a panic attack and then just not speaking to her.
Yeah, it consumed your life.
It consumed me completely. And I found one somewhat relief to it, which wasn't a relief. It was really detrimental to my health, and that was it was bulimia.
Oh, really?
And I didn't really want to say it because it's self-harm, and I don't want to say it was no cure. That was not a cure to it. But for me, it was having control over something. It was having control over my weight, or having control over something, right? So I was bulimic up until I was from 13, I would say, or maybe 14. It was certainly through my last 3 years of secondary school, and right up into my adulthood. Until one day I went to the doctors because I had such a bad back, and it wasn't my back, it was my kidneys.
Oh, really?
Just saying, you're really damaging yourself. You're really damaged, because my doctor was like, no, that's not your back, that's your kidneys. And so I give him a sample, and he was like, something's not right here. You've got like acid, because it's the stomach acid and everything else. And then I realised that it had actually damaged my esophagus. It had really done some detrimental things. It had actually contributed to a hiatus hernia.
Yeah.
Which then, for the rest of my life, I'm on anti-acid medication because I've damaged my own stomach doing that, which was somewhat a coping mechanism just to have a bit of control.
Yeah.
So...
Did you feel like your body was letting you down, so you were looking for...
Do you know what? I think that was more probably looking at my own body image. And I mean, I look back on photos now, I'm a big bloke, you know what I mean? Like, since I've had a kid, I put on loads of weight, and I'm quite comfortable being a big dad, you know what I mean? I don't
Rocking
care
the dad
what
bod.
I look like, because I've achieved everything I need to in life. But back then, I was so concerned with how I looked, and that's all it was. It was me looking at my body and thinking, I want to just lose a bit of weight here, a bit of weight there. And I used to do track and field. I used to do rugby at the school, and then I used to do boxing on a Thursday. So I was extremely athletic, until I left school. And as soon as I left school, of course, you're not doing your school rugby.
Yeah.
I'm not doing track and field every lunch and every break. And that was part of the bulimia. I was running to lose calories, to keep my weight down. That's what it was. It was calorie deficit and trying to burn off extra calories. So I went into work and sort of, I was knackered from work, so I stopped doing the boxing, and I stopped doing the running, and I never really went to the gym or nothing. I just worked out at work.
Yeah.
Because when I first started, I was a labourer. I weren't just a plumber. I weren't a plumber's apprentice. It was, right, there's 50 sheets of plasterboard that need taking up 3 flights of stairs. You go do it. So it's like, okay. And so, I didn't do that. But the bulimia just went on till I was 21 when the doctor said to me, and that scared me. The white coat syndrome, not wanting to go to a doctor's, was like, okay, all right, I'll stop. And when I stopped, I realised that I have never ever learned in my life how to eat.
Oh, really?
I've always binged, eaten as much as I want to, and then purged. Didn't matter what I ate. So then I was like, went from, eating whatever I wanted to and then just purging it all, to all of a sudden I'm having like a whole bucket of KFC and it's staying down and it's just putting weight on. I ballooned really quick, and then I was like going, hang a minute. And so for a few years I was having to go to Slimming World to learn what I need to eat and what my body needed, because I didn't care what I ate. And I did binge. I mean, I'd eat a whole bucket of ice cream. I'd fucking, and then make a sandwich, blah blah blah. And then because I knew that it weren't staying down.
Yeah.
So I just ate whatever.
And you hid it from friends and family and things like
that 100%. I was extremely ashamed of it, and I knew that I always used to skip dessert. Because my parents love dessert. They always have dessert, or used to back then. And I always used to say, I don't like dessert, I don't like sweet stuff, even though I do. Just so that I could go upstairs into the opposite end of the house to do what I needed to do and know that they're stuck at the table, they're not going to come up.
Yeah.
So I hid it very well. And then when we moved and the only bathroom was downstairs, I used to take big bottle of water with me, and I'll go, I'm going out for a run, and I'd just go as far away as I needed to go to find a bush to do it, and then use the water to clean my fingers and wash my mouth and whatnot before I come back. So I really did hide it from everyone, and it's something that I admitted to once when I was talking about mental health, and then I just was like, I don't know if I'm ready to talk about this yet. Yeah.
And now you feel like you're at that point.
I'm at that point now where I just think, if someone else is going through any of those things, knowing that someone else is going through it, like, helps. Because for me, that was that leaflet that when I was at college said, this is the symptoms and this is what anxiety is. This is what a panic attack is.
Yeah.
That helps so much, just to put a label on it and go, that's what I'm going through.
So when you realised that and you could put a label on it and the panic attacks calmed down, but did you replace it then with the bulimia, do you think?
It coincided with it. I thought it was helping. I thought it was giving me some sort of control over my life, but it didn't. And to be honest with you, the panic attacks lasted up until one day in my life changed my life forever, and I've never had a panic attack since. And that was the first day that I held my son.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's honest to God,
amazing.
It's incredible, because I did not realise. Although as I got older and I was more comfortable, the panic attacks got less and less. But I knew that one would come maybe once a month, once every 6 months. One of them would come along. As soon as I had my son, I realised what is my biggest fear that's giving me a panic attack. Every time I had a panic attack, I was thinking I was going to die. Now I don't care if I die. That's what it made me feel. I went, I'm nowhere near as important as I ever valued myself before. There's someone that's more important than me. And I was talking to a friend the other night, and this is so vivid, and it sticks with me. Is I had 2 dreams when he was like a newborn baby. I had one dream, just one of them horrible dreams that I think every new parent has. They have that dream, right? So I woke up and I was dripping in sweat and I was panicking. My heart was going, beating out my chest. But where a panic attack is fight or flight, because it was my son, it was fight, not flight.
Yeah.
It was fight. And so what I did was I called up his mum. I was like, can I come round? Can I come round? Yeah, come round. She let me in, opened the door, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And all I had to do, and my heart was pounding out my chest, I just had to put my hand on his chest. And as soon as it went up and down and I felt that he was breathing, I just went, and I just went to the floor, went on my knees, like I was like praying to God, thank you. It was like I just lost everything. I just cried so much, like just every emotion come out of me. And she understood, you know what I mean? Like his mum understood, like knew where I was coming from, was like, it's okay, it's okay. Everything's fine. And I said, I know it's fine, it's just the relief. I just relief. And I was like, okay, went home and got in the van, went back home, and it was all fine. And I had this one other dream, and I'm glad I don't have these dreams often.
Yeah.
But it was more when he was a newborn baby, like, you know, got to really protect him. So I had this dream, and in my dream, I was on a raft, and he was underwater, and he was so deep down that I just dived in and I swam and I swam and I swam and I swam, and I knew I will drown, but I'm going to keep swimming. So I drowned in my dream, and I choked I felt the water rush into my lungs and fill up my lungs. And then, snap, I was in front of a burning building, and I could hear him crying in this burning building, and I just immediately ran. I did no thought whatsoever, just ran into this burning building, and my skin was like charred, and I could feel the heat going in and out of my mouth. You know, when you stand like close to a fire, it was that vivid. And I brought him out, and he was always just wrapped in white. So I never saw him, never saw his face. But I, got him, run out. And then I was in front of a church, and he was at the top of a church spire. And my biggest fear is heights. I can't stand. You won't catch me up a ladder.
Yeah.
Right. Someone asked me to do guttering. Nah, get someone else. Right. And I just clambered up this spire to get him. And when I woke up, I felt like, I passed all these tests.
Yeah.
They were these 3 tests. Like I felt like, was I supposed to pass these tests? Did that prove that I would, that I'm worthy or something? I don't know. But I did struggle when he was first born with handling my emotions, as in I was not used to being happy.
All right, okay.
Right, so I spent all this time hiding my true emotions, hiding my anxiety, hiding how I felt about my weight, hiding how I saw myself, hiding everything. And as soon as he was born, and I went, oh my God, I'm happy, like actually happy, not pretending I'm happy, not having a few drinks at a house party pretending you're happy. I was actually happy, and I used to not be able to handle it. I couldn't handle happiness, and so I'd stay for 15 minutes to an hour, and I felt it coming on. I'm getting emotional, and I'd get in the van, I'd find a lay-by to pull up, and I'd cry my eyes out, I'd sob my eyes out like a little baby, because I didn't know why I was getting emotional like that. I didn't know why I was being like it. I thought, I'm being pathetic. I'm being really fucking pathetic. Grow up. And then I realised it was just, I just couldn't handle happiness like that. Like true, honest happiness. And so it took me a while. And then I was like, I told some people about it. And they were like, you silly fucker. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's absolutely fine to like cry with happiness. You can do that. It's not a problem. It's just I was just like, oh no, I've got to be the I've got to be a male. I've got to be the dad. I've got to be the strong person. I can't be seen as being weak. But it weren't. And I still every now and again I do get emotional thinking about like that. It's the best thing in my life. It's changed my life forever. And he's my therapy. He's my prescription. He's my prescription. Without him, I'm a mess.
Yeah.
You know, not to put that on him, but he certainly he's my antidepressant. Yeah.
Hey, that's amazing to hear. Thank you for sharing that. I know how powerful that is to let go of that and come to terms with a lot of that stuff and have that realisation that I've actually been through this and that I got to that point and how it consumed your life, how you said it was totally not consuming your life. Then your son came along and it changed, and then you've had to go through the roller coaster of balancing your emotions because you've been so far one way and now you're so far the other, and it's learning to level it out, and you've gone through that journey. So well done, mate.
I feel like I've got better. I'm not perfect.
No, nobody is.
I never will be perfect. I'll always be I'll always be that hyperactive little boy. If that's the label that they put on me, hyperactivity. Yeah, that's me sometimes. That's me when I get hyperactive and I say silly things. I do silly things. Not the best place to be on the internet. You know what I mean? And then put out a video that you regret within 10 minutes. But it's like one of them. It's where you just you got to take a step back now and again and think about things and be less reactive.
Yeah. And the thing is, like you say, you put the video out and that, but that's you. That's Sam. That's part of who you are.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's with my social media, it's Professor Plum. It's not.
Yeah.
In some ways, I feel like it is a character. Like I'm putting on I'm trying to be that person for apprentices. Yeah. Right. So I thought, I'm just the only people that are ever going to like be impressed by my stuff is young lads just coming into the industry, and as soon as they know what they're doing, I'm useless to them. And then I remember going to my first installer show, right? So going to a plumbing convention. So the chance of you meeting someone that might know you, is going to be a lot higher because it's all people in the trade, and that's what I do. I make videos about my trade. And the amount of people that come up to me and wanted a selfie, and said, "Oh, could you do a quick message, or could you do whatever?" And then just coming up and going, "I really love what you do," and shaking my hand, and I'm like going, "You're not a 16-year-old lad. You're a 50-year-old bloke.
Yeah.
Why are you watching me?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like going." Putting myself down as well, and I do that. I self-deprecate a lot, which is fine. You should do that. You shouldn't take yourself like super seriously and say I'm really important. Me, like I know I make them for entertainment value, and I don't think there's nothing in it. I get a few people that say I become self-employed because of you, and I was like, that's amazing, mate. That's amazing. I'm getting tearing up, going, oh, so congratulations, mate. You know. And some people, I remember there was a guy and he was in the army and he used to watch me on live. So I used to do him a bit more consistently. I can't remember what day of the week I used to do it, like twice a week. Yeah. And he always used to watch, and he'd be watching throughout the whole thing. And he said, I'm in the army and in the barracks, and every time you're live, I'll watch it, and I just put it on in the background. And it's something that it's just like having a mate there in the background just to listen to, some background noise and stuff and things like that. I really appreciate it because I'm like, I don't know how I've built a community. I've got no idea how the hell I've got where I am on social media. I've no idea. This is just all just a weird farce where I feel like I'm just faking it the whole way through.
I totally imposter syndrome. That is. 100%. But the thing is, you've got to that point because you've been you and you've shown you. And I know you say Professor Plum is your online image, but that's still part of you.
Yeah, it's not watered down and filtered into. Although I can edit out things, there are some things I do edit out, but I'm actually quite clever in that I do leave the bad stuff in, and sometimes I deliberately pretend there's bad stuff.
Yeah,
because I know it's going to get the comments and the engagement and whatnot. And so I think people sort of gravitated towards, even if you gravitate towards me to follow me because you're a hate watcher, as I call them, like people that don't like me, want to pick the faults, and that's the only reason they follow me, so that they can try and pick the faults and then comment to tell me, you've done that wrong. You've done that wrong. You should have clipped that. Should have been 150 mil, not that sort of thing. I don't care. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you. And especially, I think that was a big change as well. I think it changed the whole landscape of social media was when TikTok started the Creator Fund.
Right, okay.
Because it went from, oh God, it's just the idiots on TikTok. They're just idiots, them lot.
Yeah.
they're not us more professional people that do YouTube and Instagram. And then all of a sudden we're getting paid, and we're getting paid a lot in comparison.
Yeah.
Because Instagram is hard to get paid.
Yeah.
Facebook, it's hard to get paid, but it does pay. And YouTube obviously has ad revenue and everything else. But TikTok's is like mega. Yeah. It's mega. And when you go from you've done it solely for fun, and then you get rewarded for doing it for fun, and it did change the landscape, because then you got people like, oh, I want in on that. I want in on that. All of a sudden, no, I like TikTok. It's good. It did change the way things are, but it's actually probably separated the platforms more. Yeah. Because I think there's some people, because if you've been doing it historically, like making content for 10 years, right, 10 years or 15 years or however long, then you found ways of monetizing what you do as far as making videos. So you've monetized it by putting in product placement, adverts, this and that. Whereas I think if you've been doing TikTok and you're getting rewarded for making content rather than influencer sort of stuff, then the content's very different. Yeah. It's very, very different. So I don't have to do any product promotion stuff if I don't want to.
Yeah, you do what works for you.
I kind of like being my own boss. It's a bit like being employed versus self-employed. I can go, right, I'll swear in my videos and do whatever. Yeah. It's not a problem. Not that I do really, but I can sort of be a bit more liberal with what I put out, I suppose. Without going, I've got a contract with someone. Yeah. Which I have in the past. I've had contracts with people, and I've pulled out now. And as soon as they was up, they was up. There's a lot with content creation where you don't want to end up getting used, because that's something that can happen. Is you end up getting sort of pigeonholed into, right? They'll do it for free. We'll just send them some free stuff. Yeah. And if they don't do it for free, there's 1,000 other people that we can send out free stuff, and they'll put it in their videos, and they'll say that we're amazing, and we're not paying them. So you don't want to end up getting used like that, and you don't realise you are. When you first start, it's like validation. Oh, massive company sending me out some free stuff. So you're there making a video going, this stuff's amazing. Yeah. I got it for free. Look, let me open up this box. Look, they sent me this because it's validation, but really the company couldn't care less about you. Could not care less about you. So I sort of been a bit cagey with who I work for. The only person that I do work for, and I'm really proud and really happy to work for, is Direct Plumbing Supplies. Because they're a merchant, it's kind of like, if there's products you like, use those. Yeah. The ones that you don't like, just don't talk about them, because that you wouldn't be using them anyway. Yeah. And we're not going to tell you have to push this and you have to push that. they just want me to be me. And when people ask me, where do you buy your stuff from? I go, well, that's where I buy it from. That's genuine. That's genuinely where I get it from. So, that's the only thing that I've ever done in that regards. Some people find it a really interesting topic. I haven't. I've never thought it was interesting, but I know that some people.
Yeah, some people set
some people are interested in that sort of peek behind the curtains as to why it's really. A lot of people, when I do see people that know me from TikTok, right, or social media, they'll always presume that I've got loads of money. I'm like, have you seen the state of my 2006 Transit Connect with a rust hole in the side, right? Do I look like I'm earning loads of money? No, I'm not. You know, you can earn good money. You can find ways of doing it, but if you're not a very social media savvy person, then you're not gonna, because you're not gonna put yourself forward for things, and you're not gonna do that side of things. But yeah,
it's just doing what works best for you.
Yeah, I think people just presume that we're all just, I don't know. It's all. I mean, why would we be going out and doing plumbing and messing about with someone's dirty toilet if we were earning all this money? It'd be like, nah, just...
Yeah, do you know what? You did a longer video, it was a while ago now, and it was, you had to get, there was a blockage in the waste pipe, and it was behind some coving, but you could get a bit there and a bit there, but you couldn't get where the blockage was. I was like, oh my God.
That was horrendous. That was just before Christmas, if I remember rightly. And it was a tenanted...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and it was like 3-inch pipe.
Yeah,
it was just nowhere near big enough, and it was such a long run. And I thought, this has taken years and years and years to get to the point where it's this bad. And the only way that I could do it was drilling holes in it and then trying to get the rod in. But I'm internally in the property, so I'm having to sheet up and try and keep it, and the smell's horrendous, and I've got gloves, and I'm just going, I don't want to... It was one of them things that's like, that's what I do in my job. Plumbing is pretty grim at times.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Sometimes it's really nice, and you go, oh my God, my job is so easy. You know, I make all this money from fitting taps, and I love it. And then you go do a job like that, and you're just thinking, I am not getting paid enough to do this. No one's getting paid enough to do this, but I've taken it on. Them jobs are the worst when you start them and then you go, oh God, I shouldn't have started. I shouldn't have started this. But now I have to follow it through. Yeah. And I get that quite often, where I just go, I really shouldn't have took this one on. But then what do you do? Because I must admit, there are not many jobs that I go to and not take on the challenge.
Yeah.
I always take on these stupid challenges like that one. And I'm recording it, I'm thinking, I'm doing all this recording, but I think there might be a point where I'm going to have to just walk away from this and admit that I can't do it. And then what do? I go do all this video for me to not solve the problem and then call, I don't know, a dynarod in to come and jet blast it. So I was like, no, I have to just keep going. And then when it went, I was just over the moon. So that you do get that from the job, is when you do finally get something working, it can be really, really satisfying.
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
Satisfying.
Well, that sounds like a good place to finish the image. That sounds like a good place to finish the podcast we got there in the end.
That sounds very good.
Sam, it's been amazing, and thank you for being so open and honest about it. And I know that wasn't easy for you, but you've absolutely come on and smashed it, and what a way to ease my way back into hopefully recording every single month and getting an episode out. So thank you very much for that.
Do you know, it's just really nice to have someone to talk about mental health. And I mean, when we met up last time and it was just me and you, and it weren't like, we're not doing it for this, doing it for a podcast. We're genuinely talking human to human about, this is what I'm going through, this is what it is, and everyone out there know that they can reach out, and where can they reach out to?
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about. And if we have spoke about anything, or Sam's triggered anything in you or made you realise that maybe that's where I am with it, there'll be links down below, and I'll put a pop-up here as well that you can reach out to. There's help and support that's out there, and it doesn't matter how big the problem is or how dark you feel it is, or you think you're too deep into it, it always gets better. And if you have enjoyed what Sam spoke about in this episode, let us know in the comments below. Other than that, thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.
Ta-ra.
Mate, that was amazing. Thank you very, very much.